In a quaint Texas town, Jacob, a mechanic facing challenges, found his life transformed by the restoration of a weathered Mustang he never thought would hold such significance. Oblivious to the fact that the vehicle was owned by a covert military operative, he dedicated himself fully to each and every fix. Out of nowhere, authoritative figures in uniforms appeared, insisting on explanations. What he remains unaware of will astonish the whole country. Get ready for a tale so captivating that once you begin, you won't be able to tear yourself away. Until the final moment. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and share your location in the comments. Your support enables us to share more impactful narratives. Let us commence. Jacob's garage lacked any remarkable features. The worn sign above the entrance proclaimed, "Jake's Auto Repair," and the structure appeared as weary as its proprietor. Each morning, Jacob rose before the first light, yearning for the day when fortune would finally smile upon him. For 15 years he toiled as a mechanic, yet fortune never seemed to smile upon him. Mounting bills loomed large, casting a shadow over his future like a tempest, waiting to unleash its fury. The Mustang resting in his shop was his newest endeavor, a battered, rusted artifact from the 70s that nobody else dared to approach. Jacob was unaware of the car's owner. What he found was a simple note tucked beneath the windshield wiper, bearing a name unfamiliar to him and a tantalizing promise of generous payment if the Mustang could be revived. He dedicated himself fully, mending each frayed wire, scrubbing every soiled component, and swapping out anything that appeared aged. The task was challenging and draining, yet Jacob invested his soul into it. Each bolt he secured felt like a triumph. Each rev of the engine brought a flicker of optimism. As twilight settled in, and the outside world fell into a hushed stillness, Jacob was startled by a knock at the door of his garage. Upon opening the door, he was met by two men clad in dark suits. They presented themselves as emissaries from the military. Their expressions were grave, gazes keen like hawks observing every action. Jacob felt his heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't fathom why the military would care about a dilapidated Mustang or someone like him, a mere mechanic. The men inquired about the car, probing into how he discovered it, the repairs he had undertaken, and whether he had observed anything out of the ordinary. Jacob responded truthfully, yet his thoughts swirled in a whirlwind of uncertainty. Their conversation unfolded. It became increasingly evident that the Mustang was far from an ordinary vehicle. It was a covert piece of military innovation, masquerading as a classic muscle car. In an instant, Jacob came to the startling realization that he was entangled in a situation far more expansive than he had ever envisioned. That night, Jacob found himself wide awake, the burden of uncertainty heavy upon him. He pondered the identity of the Mustang's owner, the individual whose name graced the note. What could have led this enigmatic figure to confide in him about such a potent secret? What could have prompted the army to arrive at his doorstep, laden with inquiries? Jacob's life was on the brink of transformation in ways he could never foresee. He was on the brink of uncovering revelations that would upend his understanding of his tranquil town, his personal history, and the unseen powers operating in the shadows. What started as a straightforward repair task was evolving into a quest that had the potential to change the trajectory of his life, and perhaps even the future of the nation. No one in Jacob's realm was ready for the unfolding events that lay ahead. The Mustang, the military, and the mysteries it concealed would draw him into a tempest of peril, loyalty, and bravery. This transcended the mere concept of a vehicle. It revolved around the themes of endurance and self-discovery within a narrative that transcended the individual. As the night deepened, a tempest unleashed its fury both outside and within Jacob's thoughts. He was certain of one thing: he could not turn his back now. No matter the price, he was determined to reveal the truth. The forces were observing closely, and the clock was ticking down. The tale of a determined mechanic and an enigmatic Mustang was merely unfolding. Jacob's journey would challenge him in ways he never imagined, and every moment would be crucial. Remain engaged with this narrative, as each detail is significant. The revelation is imminent, and it will astonish you. Jacob awoke the following morning, feeling a profound heaviness resting upon his chest. The sun had just begun to rise, but his thoughts were already racing at an incredible pace. The voices of the soldiers reverberated in his mind. They communicated in cryptic phrases regarding secretive initiatives and the safety of the nation, yet Jacob remained merely a straightforward mechanic. How had he found himself caught in such a convoluted and perilous situation? His small town, once a familiar haven where everyone was connected, now seemed shrouded in mysteries and darkness. He stepped into his garage, the Mustang shining brilliantly. Beneath the stark fluorescent lights, it had transformed into something far beyond a mere broken-down car. It contained enigmas that Jacob was starting to grasp, yet each revelation appeared to unveil further inquiries. He recalled the message, affixed to the windshield, marked with a name he struggled to articulate: Colonel William Drake. Who was this individual? And why had he placed his trust in Jacob with his prized vehicle? As Jacob glided his hands along the Mustang's elegant contours, a weight of duty enveloped him. Tinkering with automobiles was one thing, but this was an entirely different realm. This Mustang held the promise of something far more significant. The engine that sprang to life was more than mere gasoline and pistons. It represented an unspoken conflict waged quietly, a conflict that Jacob remained blissfully unaware of, unfolding quietly in the background of his seemingly mundane existence. Suddenly, his phone rang, pulling him abruptly from his reverie. An unfamiliar number appeared. With a hint of reluctance, he responded. The voice on the other end exuded a sense of calmness, yet carried an undeniable firmness. Jacob. This is Captain Reynolds from the Army Intelligence Division. Your presence is required here. There is a wealth of knowledge yet to be uncovered, and the clock is ticking. Jacob's heart raced with intensity. He was not a warrior. He sought to avoid any conflict. Yet the voice allowed no possibility of decline. He snatched his jacket and made his way outside. The Mustang sat silently behind him, poised and ready. At the army base, Jacob navigated through hallways infused with the scent of steel and hidden truths. Individuals clad in uniforms strode past, their expressions inscrutable. He found himself in a cramped room where an array of files and photographs lay scattered across the table. The visuals depicted the Mustang while also showcasing concealed compartments, cutting-edge technology, and weaponry cleverly camouflaged as vintage car components. Jacob gazed in astonishment. He had laid his hands on this car, oblivious to the fact that he was handling a piece of classified military equipment. As he delved deeper into his studies, he became increasingly aware of the lurking peril. If the inappropriate individuals were to acquire this Mustang, it could pose a risk to national security. Captain Reynolds detailed that Colonel William Drake operated in secrecy, utilizing the Mustang as a mobile command center for his covert missions. The vehicle had been taken not long ago, and the military had a hunch that someone was monitoring its movements. Jacob's assistance was crucial to reveal the truth and ensure the vehicle was secured before time ran out. Jacob sensed the immense burden of existence settle upon his shoulders. He had once been merely a mechanic, yet now he found himself woven into a narrative far grander than himself. The destiny of the Mustang, and perhaps the nation itself, hinged on his next move. As he departed the base, a tempest of doubt and trepidation churned within him. He was unprepared for this. He was entering a realm filled with intrigue, hidden truths and peril, yet retreat was not an option. The Mustang transcended the realm of mere automobiles. It stood as a beacon of hope and strength, with Jacob now serving as its unexpected protector. Each moment was significant. The army kept a vigilant eye, and adversaries lurked nearer than he had anticipated. The distinction between ally and adversary faded, and Jacob understood the necessity of remaining vigilant. Faith was a scarce commodity, and treachery hid in every corner. This is just the start. The path before them was fraught with danger and unforeseen companions. Jacob's adventure would challenge his bravery, his abilities, and his spirit. The Mustang unlocked a hidden realm, and the army sought the insights that only he could uncover. Keep going. Don't halt at this moment. The upcoming section will unveil the unexpected turn that will alter everything. Continue with this narrative, as it will draw you further into an unexpected realm. The reality is nearer than you realize. As Jacob drove the Mustang away from the army base, his mind swirled with a storm of questions. The engine's deep growl resonated with a newfound intensity. It was more than just the sound of power. It served as a foreboding signal, a harbinger that something perilous was approaching. Each look in the rearview mirror sent his heart into a frenzy. Did he sense someone trailing behind him? The notion that his once tranquil existence was now entangled with monumental secrets capable of unsettling the whole nation was nearly unbearable. However, there was no way to reverse course. He recalled the document Captain Reynolds had presented. To him, the concealed spaces within the Mustang, cutting-edge technology that appeared to be plucked straight from the pages of a science fiction novel. It transcended the mere function of a vehicle. It stood as a bastion, an instrument of power, and a means of secrecy, all encased in timeless steel and leather. Jacob's hands quivered as they glided over the dashboard, fully aware that he had mended a device that had preserved lives yet also drawn perilous foes. Jacob's phone vibrated once more. This time, a message arrived from an unfamiliar number. "Place your faith in no one. Let's gather at 8 p.m. Warehouse 13. The message was brief yet laden with significance. The caution was unmistakable. He felt exposed, as if a pair of eyes were tracking his every action. Jacob understood that turning a blind eye was simply not feasible. He found himself ensnared in a game where each move held significance, and a single misstep could lead to dire consequences. In the warehouse, shadows lingered on the fractured walls, and the subtle scent of oil and rust permeated the atmosphere. Jacob felt his heart race as he entered, his gaze slowly acclimating to the low illumination. A silhouette materialized from the shadows, a woman possessing keen eyes and a serene assurance that left Jacob feeling simultaneously anxious and at ease. She presented herself as Olivia Harper, a former intelligence officer who had been monitoring the stolen Mustang long before the army, was even aware of its disappearance. Olivia's narrative was as gripping as Jacob's personal journey. She recounted tales of double agents, clandestine missions, and an underground network striving to reclaim classified technology before it could be misappropriated. She cautioned Jacob that there were individuals willing to go to any lengths to reclaim the Mustang, driven not by patriotism but by ambition and avarice. Urgent action was required before the Mustang transformed into a tool for a conflict that no one wished to confront directly. Jacob absorbed each word, letting them resonate within him. He came to understand that his expertise as a mechanic held greater worth than he had previously thought. The changes he implemented on the Mustang, the tweaks and fixes, had inadvertently fortified some of the most essential systems. His hands cradled a secret that had the potential to alter the very dynamics of power. As the night grew darker, Olivia passed Jacob a small device. "This will ensure secure communication with us," she stated. "You're not isolated in this journey, yet caution is essential. Trust is a privilege we cannot indulge in." Jacob's mind was a whirlwind. How had his once uncomplicated existence transformed into a quest brimming with peril and fascination? He was merely a man passionate about repairing cars, not engaging in espionage. Yet here he stood, in the midst of a scheme that extended to the highest echelons of power and elusive figures who glided like phantoms. He reflected on his family, his tight-knit community, and the future he had envisioned long before everything changed. Now everything had changed. The Mustang had transcended its identity as merely a vehicle for him. It represented a profound sense of duty and bravery. The decisions he faced now would not merely impact his own existence, but had the potential to alter the trajectory of history itself. The warehouse door groaned as it swung open, and Jacob felt a surge of tension, acutely aware that each passing moment could usher in peril. He needed to remain vigilant. The journey before him was shrouded in doubt and danger, yet he was determined to confront it directly. This had transcended into something far beyond the tale of a mechanic and his vehicle. The narrative unfolded around themes of trust and betrayal, revealing the strength concealed within a gleaming metal structure. Jacob was on the brink of uncovering secrets that were never meant for the eyes of the average person. Remain by my side, for what follows will unveil the surprising companions and perilous foes that are poised to strike. The narrative is only starting to reveal itself, and each instant will draw you further into this captivating journey. Jacob found himself in the solitude of his dimly lit garage, the Mustang's engine purring gently in the background. The burden of recent days bore down on him, yet his thoughts were clearer than they had ever been. Every detail, every secret Olivia had confided, swirled endlessly in his mind. The Mustang transcended mere transportation. It was a key, one that held the power to open a door to perils far beyond anything he had ever envisioned. He needed to be ready, for those pursuing this vehicle would go to any lengths. Lives hung in the balance, and Jacob found himself entwined in a narrative far grander than his own. Once more, his phone buzzed with a vibration. A notification flickered to life on the display. Gather at the docks. The witching hour. Arrive by yourself. A name was absent, yet a caution lay hidden beneath the surface. Jacob felt a deep sense of unease, yet he understood that dismissing this intuition might lead to regret. He took hold of his coat from the compact, reliable communicator Olivia had entrusted to him, stepping into the crisp night air with a determination he had yet to discover within himself. At the docks, the shadows danced as if they were alive. The water gently caressed the piers, yet the stillness hung heavy in the air, brimming with expectation. A looming silhouette drew near, shrouded in shadows. As the figure emerged into the dim glow, Jacob's breath hitched in his throat. It was Major Anderson, a figure he had only encountered in images, an army intelligence officer whose reputation loomed large, much like the secrets he safeguarded. Anderson's gaze was piercing and resolute, yet beneath the exterior, Jacob detected a hint of urgency. "You fixed the Mustang," Anderson stated matter-of-factly, his tone calm and unwavering. "You cannot fathom the significance of what you have encountered. That vehicle embodies more than mere components and wiring. It bears a purpose, one that may determine the destiny of countless individuals." Jacob absorbed every word as Anderson unfolded the larger narrative. The Mustang was equipped with advanced technology intended to monitor and capture communications, collecting intelligence in ways that surpassed any conventional device. The final bastion stood resolute against an encroaching menace that had seeped into the upper echelons of both governance and the armed forces. Jacob's repairs kept the system running smoothly, yet they also placed him squarely in the sights of hidden adversaries. The Major's warning was unmistakable. Formidable entities sought to reclaim the Mustang. Some aimed to wield it for devastation. Some sought to stifle the truth it held. Jacob came to understand that his existence had evolved beyond merely repairing vehicles. It was about safeguarding something invaluable. The stakes loomed larger than he had ever envisioned, and there was no room for failure. As the night deepened, Jacob sensed a burning resolve awaken inside him. He had transcended the role of a mere mechanic. He stood as a keeper of mysteries, an unwilling champion poised between turmoil and tranquility. The Mustang stood as a beacon of hope, and he was its steadfast guardian. Yet trust was delicate. Whom could he trust in a realm rife with betrayal? Out of nowhere, the sound of footsteps reverberated from behind. Jacob spun around, his heart racing. In the soft glow, a silhouette appeared, a well-known visage from his history, an encounter he had not anticipated. As their gazes locked, Jacob realized that the struggle was just beginning. The lines between allies and enemies faded, and the journey ahead would require all of his strength. The Mustang's engine sprang to life again, a summons that Jacob could no longer resist. He inhaled deeply, steeling himself to confront the obstacles that lay ahead. The truth about the car had been revealed, and the military was demanding explanations. Yet the shadows glided quietly as well. This is the moment when the narrative becomes utterly irresistible. Each moment will draw you further into Jacob's realm, brimming with mysteries, peril, and surprising discoveries. The concluding chapter approaches, poised to transform everything. Jacob's reality was unraveling at a pace he had never anticipated. The silhouette that emerged at the docks was unmistakably his old friend Emily, a woman he believed he had lost to time and circumstance. Her unexpected return stirred a blend of relief and doubt. Was she truly trustworthy in a world brimming with deception, intrigue, and covert operations? Her eyes radiated a fierce resolve, yet they concealed a hint of unspoken danger, a lurking intensity beneath the surface. Emily moved in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Jacob, I always hoped you would stay out of this. The Mustang, the army, the secret agents, each one a vital component in an intricate and expansive puzzle. The true puppeteer remains hidden from your view." Jacob's heart raced as she unveiled a concealed secret. The danger loomed nearer than he had anticipated. The individuals entrusted with the nation's safety were undermined. The Mustang stood as the final beacon to unveil the corruption that permeated the upper echelons of authority. Each repair he undertook, every subtle adjustment, sustained a delicate thread of existence. The intensity in Emily's voice was undeniable. "They are approaching you. They desire the vehicle and all that it encompasses. Swift action is essential. They seize the technology within that Mustang, all that we stand for will be in jeopardy." In an instant, the stillness of the night was pierced by the wail of sirens and the sound of gravel crunching beneath heavy boots. Jacob's instincts kicked in. They were being pursued. The boundaries separating ally from adversary faded into the dimness enveloping them. With the Mustang's keys firmly gripped in Jacob's hand, he understood that this was his singular opportunity to break free. Emily seized his arm. "It's essential that you place your trust in me. A secure haven awaits us, a place to strategize our next steps, yet retreat is no longer an option." Without a moment's pause, Jacob fired up the engine. The Mustang sprang to life, its growl resonating like a call to arms. As they raced away from the docks, the floodlights from the chasing vehicles illuminated the darkness, a pursuit that would challenge every ability Jacob possessed. The paths wound and curled below, yet Jacob's concentration remained unwavering. This was an extraordinary escape. It was a battle for existence, a frantic dash to safeguard truths that had the power to alter the fabric of history. Upon arriving at the safe house, Emily presented Jacob with a compact encrypted drive. "This holds all the elements necessary to reveal the truth about those entrusted with our safety, who have instead turned into the most significant danger. You fixed that Mustang, but now it's time for you to assist us in completing what we began." Jacob sensed the burden of the mission, pressing heavier upon him. The mechanic, who had previously dedicated his skills to repairing vehicles, now found himself at the heart of a conflict that would determine the destiny of countless lives. The road before him was fraught with peril and ambiguity, yet retreat was not an option. In the stillness that enveloped the world just before dawn, Jacob steeled himself for the events that lay ahead. He would need to not only outwit elusive adversaries, but also confront his own insecurities and uncertainties. Faith was hard to come by, yet bravery was the sole tool he could depend on. The narrative approaches its gripping climax, where all mysteries will unfold, and the ultimate challenge will commence. The concluding section will unveil a truth so powerful, it will resonate with everyone. Jacob lingered in the muted glow of the safe house, the encrypted drive weighing heavily in his hand as the weight of his immense responsibility enveloped him. His thoughts surged with every potential outcome, every threat that might arise from exposing the mysteries concealed within that tiny gadget. It transcended the mere act of repairing a vehicle or receiving a salary. It revolved around safeguarding existence, unveiling deception, and resisting powers much greater than he had ever envisioned. Emily observed him intently, her face reflecting a blend of anticipation and trepidation. "Once you unlock this," she murmured gently, "there is no turning back. They will pursue you with relentless intensity, yet the truth must be revealed." Jacob inclined his head with a deliberate slowness. The gravity of the moment bore heavily upon him, yet underneath it all, there was an intensity he had never experienced prior, a steadfast resolve to pursue this to the very end, regardless of the sacrifices required. He plugged the drive into his laptop, his fingers quivering just a bit as streams of coded information started to unfold on the screen. As each file was decrypted, an astonishing image came to light. Powerful leaders, secret missions spiraling out of control, and advanced technology intended for national security being auctioned off to the highest bidder. The Mustang transcended its role as merely a vehicle. It was a treasure trove of mysteries hidden beneath the guise of a typical muscle car. Jacob's repairs had safeguarded vital evidence woven into its systems, evidence that could dismantle corrupt authorities. In an instant, the stillness was shattered. By the echo of heavy footsteps and the frantic murmur of voices, the sanctuary had lost its security. The adversaries had discovered their location. Jacob's heart pounded, yet his determination intensified. "We need to go," Emily insisted, clutching his arm once more. United, they collected their resources, bracing themselves for the unavoidable clash ahead. Amidst the turmoil that ensued, Jacob's talents as a mechanic and his ability to think on his feet emerged as invaluable strengths. They slipped away through hidden paths, just evading capture, every step scrutinized by invisible watchers. The Mustang surged forward again, embodying a spirit of hope and defiance. The concluding moments of this journey would challenge Jacob's bravery and determination in unprecedented ways. The revelation had surfaced, yet the struggle to safeguard it was merely commencing. Each moment was crucial, every choice held significance, and the gaze of a whole nation rested, unaware, on the impending result. This marks the culmination of Jacob's transformation, from a challenged mechanic to an essential figure in a narrative that would rattle the very core of authority. The concluding act guarantees insights and repercussions that will enthrall and enchant, leaving the audience spellbound and eager for what comes next.